Let's talk about the future, specifically the year 2026, because by then, the business landscape as we know it is going to be almost unrecognizable. All those old playbooks, they're basically obsolete. The question for every leader is shifting from how do we grow to, frankly, how do we even survive? Today, we're going to break down the new rules of the game. This quote, wow, it gets right to the heart of it. We used to think of things like tech, sustainability, and geopolitics as these external factors, right? Stuff that happened outside the business. Well, that view is dangerously outdated. They've all merged into this single, powerful force of systemic volatility. This is the new arena where business battles are going to be won and lost. And that leads us to a fundamental, kind of stark truth about our new business reality. Those traditional models we all learned, the ones built on predictable 5-year plans and these nice, stable, linear supply chains, they're completely broken. They just were not designed for the world we live in now where everything is interconnected and constantly in flux. So the key takeaway here is pretty simple, but it's huge. Stability is now an illusion. Any strategy that's built on the assumption of a predictable future, well, it's already a recipe for failure. So let's really dig into the 3 interconnected forces that are driving this monumental shift. Okay, first up, technology, and specifically the maturation of AI. We have moved way, way past the initial hype. AI isn't some novelty anymore. It's becoming a core piece of a company's operational infrastructure. And this brings us to a term you've got to know, agentic AI. This is a total game changer. I mean, forget chatbots that just write emails for you. We are talking about autonomous systems that can independently run an entire supply chain, negotiating with vendors, rerouting shipments around a storm, paying the invoices, all without a human clicking a button. They don't just help workers anymore. In many cases, they are the workers. This presents this crucial fork in the road for every single company. On one side, you've got the obsolete approach, just using AI to cut some costs here and there. But on the other side, this is the winning strategy. Using AI to fundamentally redefine the value you offer your customers, to create services and experiences that were literally impossible before. And the gap between those two approaches is getting wider every day. Of course, none of this advanced AI works without the right fuel, and that fuel is data. Data has completely transformed from something you just passively collect in a spreadsheet into your most vital strategic asset. The focus has shifted entirely to data governance, making sure your proprietary data is clean, secure, and ready to drive these intelligent, autonomous actions. All right, now for our second major force, sustainability. And look, this isn't some nice-to-have marketing slogan anymore. It's become a hard, structural requirement for doing business. And that means the age of greenwashing is officially over. So why is this all happening right now? Well, there are 3 key drivers. First, new regulations are demanding verifiable data. You actually have to prove your carbon claims. Second, in a world of deepfakes and misinformation, auditable, trusted data builds a real competitive advantage. And third, investors now see strong ESG performance as a clear sign of smart risk management, which, makes it a whole lot cheaper to get capital. This all really boils down to a new competitive landscape. Price is always going to matter, of course, but the primary battleground now, it's trust. Can your customers trust your environmental data? Can investors trust your supply chain claims? In this new economy, proving you can be trusted with verifiable data is a massive, massive advantage. And that idea leads us directly into our third force, which is a complete flip in competitive dynamics. For decades, the goal was always scale. Just get bigger than everyone else. Today, the goal is resilience, the ability to absorb shocks and pivot on a dime. Just think about the shift in how we view supply chains. The old just-in-time model, which was built for maximum efficiency in a stable world, well, it's breaking down. Between geopolitical chaos and climate disruptions, the winning strategy is now just in case, building these resilient, diversified supply chains with regional hubs that are actually designed to handle surprises. And this focus on being agile extends to people and planning too. The war for talent is absolutely real, and the best people are staying for a sense of purpose and development, not just for a bigger paycheck. And that rigid 5-year plan, it's a liability now. The real strategy is being nimble enough to react to a sudden tariff or a new technology almost overnight. So we've outlined the challenges, and it's a lot, I know. But now, let's pivot to the solution. How do you actually navigate this new environment? Let's walk through a clear, actionable framework for not just surviving, but actually thriving in 2026. This whole framework is built on three core pillars that directly tackle the forces we've been talking about. First, you got to protect your margins. Second, build your culture as a defensive moat. And third, you need to develop what we call predictive adaptability. So let's break each one down. Pillar one is all about building financial resilience. With inflationary pressures and all this systemic volatility as the new normal, you have to be ruthless about efficiency. This means leveraging that AI-driven automation we talked about and redesigning your processes to protect every single dollar of your margin. That creates a buffer for the shocks that are inevitably coming. Now, Pillar 2 focuses on a surprising asset. As AI automates more and more of the technical tasks, what becomes uniquely valuable? Your culture. Your team's ability to collaborate, to innovate, to solve those messy human problems. That becomes a defensible moat that your competitors and even AI can't easily replicate. It is your single most defensible asset. And finally, Pillar 3 is all about being proactive. You can't wait for a new regulation to be passed or for a climate event to wipe out your supply chain. The companies that are going to win in 2026 are the ones that anticipate these shifts and adapt before they're forced to, capturing the market while everyone else is still scrambling to react. So, what's the ultimate takeaway here? What's the goal? It's not about trying to predict the future with a crystal ball. It's about building an organization that's financially and operationally resilient enough to absorb shocks and technologically advanced enough to capitalize on the change that always follows. And all this leaves us with one final provocative thought. When agility and trust and AI are rewriting all the rules, who really holds the advantage? Do these massive shifts create immense risk for the large, established corporations? Or do they open up a once-in-a-generation opportunity for the smaller, more nimble disruptors to completely change the game?